Okay, Virgo. So I have about 30-40 minutes to do your reading. But what I am going to do is I'm going to do mid-month love readings. And since every sign has had a reading that has been an hour or more, yours today is going to be a little bit less than that. So I'll make your Hi guys, I will make your mid-month love reading an extended love reading with a little bit of general at the beginning or at the end. Let me know what you guys want. But let's go ahead and start out with what's at the bottom of the Morgan Greer deck that I'm using. So some of you guys are going through some mental conflict. Some of you guys are going through some commitment issues and communications in terms of that commitment and right who you're dealing with. It might have some issues to do with, like some matters of the heart and what you really believe in, you know what I mean? It's like your opinion, right? Your opinion about what your potential is, right? There might be some disagreements with you and someone that you may look up to, right? And what they think that your potential is, right? And you just may be feeling a little bit like let down by that, by the truth about what you feel like someone thinks about you based on like how they have treated you, that type of thing. So now let's look at what's going on in the center of the reading. Virgo. Oh, wow, you got the Empress. So this is creativity. This is a need to express something through creativity, bringing something into form, bringing something into shape. This is a card of pregnancy, so some of you might be pregnant. You might just be having the mental conflict on whether or not you're going to be able to take care of that sort of situation. You know what I mean? Because that is a commitment, and that does bring some things into your mind in terms of like what your conflicts of interest might be and what you might be needing to learn out of a situation. Or this could just be you guys believing in yourself and whatever you are, your ability to create things because you are you, right? we've had our two we've had our first Libra full moon, right? We're still in Aries season. Mercury is now direct. Venus is in Pisces with Mercury, that's stationary direct. So you guys might be dealing with a Pisces in this sense because it's Venus, and Venus is exalted there. Pisces is definitely your seventh house, so it's talking about relationships, right? And you relating to the commitments that you have attached yourself to, right? Based on like creating the boundaries, right? Because when you commit to something, then you sort of set boundaries in place. So you're sort of seeing the truth about those boundaries that you've set in place for yourself that may have been getting in the way of your own creativity. Because the fives are talking about the severity of a situation that you haven't learned from, or a situation is really calling for you to have faith within its circumstances, within the pros, the cons, the good, and the bad, right? So right now, you're feeling a little bit better about your relationships. Yeah, you might have clarity, right? And you may not be feeling good about it, but at least you can rely on the fact that you know the truth of the matter, right? Even if it feels uncomfortable. So the challenge for you guys is the Page of Rods. That's actually a phase coming in. You guys may need to initiate a conversation with someone, or you might be going into a new phase of learning, right? There's something that you want to do that involves creativity. You guys might be going into a new phase of like a commitment in terms of school or something like that. And you just might be worried about how you're going to juggle school and work, that type of thing. Some of you could be dealing with children. Like I said, the pages often, symbolize children, and the Empress is a pregnant woman, right, who is expecting something to be created from her. So this could be you guys also thinking about that, spending time with the kids, that sort of thing. Or you guys might be feeling like you're challenged in terms of like schooling with your children. Your children might be facing some challenges within school because the fives are talking about institutions, and it's talking about systems of learning, status quo. And this could be somebody, they might be conflicted within that status quo, within that symbolizes the way that which they are meant to get to a higher place and to graduate, right? So it's almost like that mentorship. There's a little bit of mistrust or distrust within that mentorship, right? Someone may just be feeling like, like they don't want to be a part of a situation you don't believe in anymore. Some of you may have situations that you didn't believe in anymore because the Empress does talk about completing, right? Also, a card popped out from the Archangel Power Tarot deck by Doreen Virtue, and it's the Three of Ariel, which is the Three of Pentacles. That's also related to the Empress, which is talking about creativity. This card says, do what you love, a time of great personal growth in your career or artistic endeavors, working with others in a cooperative manner. Okay? So this could be you just being appreciative of the work that you do, understanding what it is that you make that is important to you, that brings you value in your life, right? Because the Three of Pentacles is Mars and Capricorn. Capricorn does talk about putting the effort towards the work, right, to getting things done. And then, you know, this 5 here, the 5 of Swords, is related to the 5th house, is related to Leo energy, which is related to the heart, which is talking about creativity. And then it's also talking about reproducing children, that type of thing as well. So there we go, back to that. And then it also is talking about work, feeling like you can always turn over new ways of creating things, right? You don't want to feel stifled in your perceptions or your innovative ways of thinking. You don't want anyone to get in the way of your innovative ways of thinking that are going to allow you to be more creative, right? It's almost like you don't want anyone to stifle that. Your creativity is really something that you hold dear to you, and when someone sort of gets in the way and they try to give you their perspective on what your creativity should be, you're like not into that, right? So you just kind of like feel a little bit about that. Anyway, or what it is that you need to do. Somebody probably, and that's funny that I'm talking to a Virgo about that, because, you know, Virgos don't really, they like to take their own advice, right? But they seek out advice, but it's because they're doing the outlook, right? To get the information, right? From the sources. They're outsourcing their own advice. It's not like they're asking people for advice, right? But they like to give people advice, right? You guys are good for that. Very like psychologist type of people. You can really talk to a Virgo. Anyway, but because of this and because your ability to relate to people, you see what people's potential is, right? So you can relate to that. And you want people to live to their highest potential. You want to live to your highest potential as well. And the Empress being a 3, that's almost like a sense of high potential, right? Because it's a divine, you know, that's a sacred planet, Venus. So it is talking about high potential, divine creativity. Yes? So, you know, your gifts have been given to you by the divine, and no one else can give you those or take those away from you. So really, it's a gift. And the Empress does talk about a gift as well. You know what I mean? Something coming into form. Oh, wow, I can appreciate this. Wow. And this is you being able to appreciate yourself in your own true form, because you don't need anyone to complete you, and you don't need anyone to help you see what it is that you are abundantly you know, holding, you know, yourself, what you have. All right, let me keep going because I can't be too long with this. All right, in your sun position, wow, this is great. You got a 6. So that's related to Mercury, right? This is also related to you, the 6th house, which is Virgo, talking about the routine. You know, some of you are feeling really good, and like you're feeling revitalized because I feel like you're finding your purpose, a little bit more of a sense of purpose day to day. Your motivation has you've expanded, right? You have a sense of expansion in your heart, like what you're able to do now. You might be feeling like you're ready to move forward in a situation, right? Because the 6s are also talking about completion too. It's a new phase of completion, right? It's also a new beginning, and it's a new beginning that's very spirited, right? Because it's coming from a place of psychological awareness, right? Of what your heart really desires, and you have an overwhelming sense of that, and other people see that too, and you're able to accomplish things based on that energy. So then people are looking at you and they're appreciating you for it, but you just have to be careful that you're not over talking, right? Don't talk too much about your successes, because people, you know, sometimes people don't really into that, right? When you talk so much about your successes or what it is that you're doing that, you know, is doing really well for you. But you know, this could be like you saying like, don't talk about yourself so much, basically that type of thing, because it's a 6. It's talking about Mercury. Let that energy of like the flow of life and the harmonious like turn the wheels turning to sort of like just keep turning. You know what I mean? You have to put your foot on the gas right now because you're doing pretty well. You know what I mean? Don't let anybody get in your way, and just kind of like get in your head and psychologically damage you. Not damage you, but you know what I mean. Threaten your psychological process. You're feeling good right now. And in your emotions, wow, yeah, you definitely are feeling good because in the moon position in this reading, you have Venus in Virgo, which is your sign. This is ruled by the Hermit, which is you. And this is talking about understanding the cycles and understanding there's a beginning and an ending. You guys also feel like an emotional awareness of like needing to complete something, right? And it is a need to express um, uh, something that you have like evolved from, right? It's almost like you're a new person and you want to really appreciate this new person and step fully into this role of who you are claiming to be now, because we are in Aries season, you know what I mean, and that is like your eighth house, so it's transformative energy for you. Yeah, definitely. And also, what else do we have going on? Libra, that is your second house, so it's talking about finances, income, what you're building. You know, it's the first earth sign. So it talks about what you have that you can use as a source and use as a tool, as guidance to kind of like build your way to stability. Right, so we're thinking about that too. You're thinking about your stability moving forward. The next cycle of the full moon coming to a completion is going to be on April 19th, and that's going to be at 29 degrees and like 7 minutes of Libra, I believe. So that is going to be in your second house of earned income, finances, security, building stuff, tangible things, substantiating something that's meaningful for you, saving. You guys are really going to be thinking about things that are long lasting for you. If you're older, you're going to be thinking about like your will. You're going to be thinking about, where your investments are going and who's going to reap the benefits of the investments when you're gone, that type of thing. Some of you could even be closing out cycles in terms of your parents, you know what I mean, in terms of like that type of thing, because the Empress is here and that's the mother. But then you also have Jupiter in Leo, and Leo is, the heart, and then the heart is also talking about life. Jupiter is talking about the father, so you might be dealing with issues, not issues, but, just situations and the circumstances around your mother and your father, and cycles completing and closing things and creating things out of that, knowing that cycles will complete with them. So you're kind of like getting yourself in a ways of planning. So this does talk about planning as well, Venus and Virgo, right? It's seeing the beauty in planning things and making sure that everything kind of like works well, the flow of things. Because I feel like nines also talk about the flow of things, because a circle does have a certain flow to it, right? Cycles and things like that. All right, so in the past you have the Page of Swords. So there were some questions that you needed to have cleared up in terms of like, learning, right? It was almost like you were hungry for knowledge, right? Or maybe you just needed to know more information. You needed to learn more so you can get to the next stage of knowing, right? So then you can use those principles and use those concepts to kind of like expand yourself, which is what you've done. The pages are ruled by Saturn, and Saturn is exalted in Libra, all right? And that talks about getting the best out of learning, out of a learning experience. And the page really is ready to absorb information. And that was you ready to absorb information. You were very enthusiastic about a learning experience. You wanted to know more, maybe about having kids, or maybe you're just kind of curious about the idea of having kids and what that might mean for you in the future. You know what I mean? And it also might mean like commitments too, where your commitments lie with like male or female relationships in the future too. I don't know why I'm saying that, but that's what's coming up. So you got threes, sixes, and nines. That's fierce. The Empress is your first three. And then the three that fell out is the three of Ariel, really making something of a situation, making the best out of a situation by using your creative efforts, right? And ingenuity as well. Craftsmanship. What are you crafting? You're crafting a future for yourself, definitely. And the only way that you can feel like you're progressing towards that is if you've closed out some cycles from the past that you feel like you have graduated from. And I feel like a lot of you are questioning like those paths that which you've come from, and you're like, wow, how did I graduate? Where did I come from? What have I learned? Why am I going towards the things that I'm going towards now based on what I've moved away from? That type of thing. I think it's really great. So, and then, the nine that you got is the Nine of Pentacles. So, three is the Empress and the Three of Ariel, Three of Pentacles. The 6 is the 6 of Wands. That's Jupiter in Leo. Expansions of the heart, definitely. Feeling good about something that you've created and that you have willed, right? Because the sun the sun rules Leo, right? Esoterically and exoterically. And also, the sun, is very significant to Aries. It is exalted there. So right now we're getting the best out of the sun being in Aries, and now we're past the Mercury retrograde. We're moving in the stationary direct, right? So that's really great. And Venus is in Pisces right now, sort of like softening the blow to the confusion, clearing out some of the fog, because she does represent truth. You know what I mean? The Justice card isn't here, but we do have the Page of Swords, we do have the Five of Swords, and we do have the Empress, which is, related to, Libra, and Taurus as well. And Taurus is your 8th house, so we're closing out some cycles. There's something coming into form. You're really transforming from something, right? And in your 4th house, I believe, which is home and family, you have Saturn and Pluto, which is also bringing some, karmic understanding to like the lessons that you've been learning, and you're completing out some cycles, so you're transforming from these karmic cycles that you're learning from, right? So you're understanding what cycles you want to close and where you want to complete things and where you want to move forward. You know what I mean? It's like what you want to create as well. So it's like it's almost like rolling over. You know how like singular, I'm dating myself now, used to roll over their minutes. It's like you're rolling over the completions. Like the completion is rolling over into the beginning, right? It's really nice. I like that. So let's look at the anxieties. So the anxieties usually relate to the moon position. It's almost like, you really want to represent a version of yourself that you felt like you've always wanted to fulfill emotionally. So it's almost like you really need your everyday to be geared towards that, moving in that direction, putting in the energy towards that, the physical energy, right, to manifest something. Because the nines do talking about going in and understanding, like where you lie within a process, right? What you can bring to a process for sure to provide more beauty to it. Yeah, but what are the anxieties around that? And then we're going to be able to elaborate. 5 again, another 5. So you got 2 5s, Aquarius and Leo, right? So it's talking about, a sense of self, a great sense of self, and a great sense of purpose. And if that goes against the status quo and what you've always been expected to do, right? Or the base systems that you have learned from that are now being challenged by the new you, okay? And that's what I'm talking about when I talk about, the sun being in Aries and then it being exalted and then it being 2 Libra full moons, you know what I mean? We're talking about that type of thing. There's conflict in the knowing, right? What the truth is about the matter and what your commitments are now and how those have changed. Because the 5s are changing. They definitely are. They're fixed energy, but they're fixed energy that needs to change, right? Because you're in the middle of a conflict. So there's only one way out of it, and that's to go into your belief systems and tap into a higher sense of self, right? Really tap into a sense of strength, inner strength. Because the 5s are ruled by Taurus and Hierophant. So there's inner strength in belief systems in religion. There's almost like nothing can get in there and pierce that to make it different, right? Or to change that thing, right? Because it really is something. It's like 5 points in the star, right? I don't know. Somebody was talking about that last night at Shakti. Anyway, so yeah, your belief systems are being challenged by your new reality. And that's great because that means growth and expansion. And that's why you're having these matters of the heart, right? Because now your anxieties are really relating to the sun position too, not just the moon. It's almost relating to the sun position more than the moon in this reading. And that's because, they're both Leo, right? So you're having anxieties and stepping into this new sense of self that is going to veer away from what you thought you were always going to do, right? But you're mutable. You're mutable earth. And you're hearing your reading, right? It's kind of like you don't want to take the beauty out of your experience of like things getting changed or shaken up. You know what I mean? Let's see. Taurus is what? Your 10th house. Uranus is there. Mars just left there. It's in Gemini right now. So Uranus is there. And if you're sort of like one of these people that are in a higher plane of existence and you understand like how things might be working out for you in terms of like the outer planets, right? And doing their work, Uranus is shaking things up. It's changing things. It's making things, you know, like not the way that they always have been, because maybe the way that things always have been is just that they always have been this way. So we need a fresh take, right? That's what the Page of Swords is here for, looking towards the future with a fresh take, a fresh perspective, a hunger for a fresh perspective, right? A need to learn more out of your experience, from your experience. There's also a need of, there's also like a need to explore more parts of yourself that, you know, there are just layers that haven't been peeled back yet. Because, you know, the threes, the sixes, and the nines also talk about layers as well. I believe. Nine specifically. Um, but yeah, you know, the five of wands is talking about, you know, there's something that you need to just understand and you need to step back from any drama that might be, you know, around you, you know, even if it's not like, even if it's like, you know, just other people that might be involved in drama, you have other things to focus on. So step out of that. You know what I mean? This could also just be you not understanding what it is that you want to will, what you want to create, what you want to do, what you want to sort of like make, what you want to be bold about. This is also competition. You have some anxieties about competitive energy. You know what I mean? Because then it makes you look at parts of yourself that may not be as polished, as clear, as innovative, because you do have the five of swords here, which is Venus and Aquarius, okay? You know, this is a need to kind of like be an individual. You don't want to just be in the pack with all the other people that are kind of like in the same industry as you or do the same as you. That's what I'm talking about. Uranus is in that eighth, is it eighth house? Your seventh? No, no, no. Uranus isn't in your eighth house. The sun is in your eighth house. Sorry, Uranus is in Taurus, your 10th house. The sun is in your 8th house, which is, you know, bringing some, shining some light onto you having transformative energy. You know what I mean? And it's fixed, so there's something that needs to change, and you almost are kind of feeling like at a bottleneck place for some of you. Anyway, let's move on. So in your Mars position, you have the Tower. And that is Mars. Someone else got the Tower in the Mars position. I forget who that was. It was one of the more recent ones. It might have been like, you're the first mutable sign, Virgo, that I'm doing. So it might have been like, what were those fixed signs that I did last? Leo or Aquarius. So you guys might be dealing with some Aquarius energy. I don't know. And this Mars is here. So there's Scorpio, there's Capricorn, and there's Aries. But something's being torn down. A new way, an old way. That's what I'm talking about. Your belief systems are being like, bah, ripped away, torn down, changed. You know what I mean? And then, because it's like you feel conflicted, so something needs to change so that you don't feel conflicted anymore. Whatever this is. Some of you are conflicted in the mind, and some of you are conflicted in what your real will and your creative passions are. Oh, yes. Hi, Aquarius, right? Wow, Virgo, you guys usually get a lot of Pisces energy, but right now I'm not getting Pisces. The only thing I got for Pisces in this reading is, you know, the Empress here, which just represents Venus being exalted there, right? So there's a big Pisces energy there because this card is Venus and there's Pisces right there's having Venus sit up in that sign. Now let's look at what's going on in your Venus placement in this reading, right? So your will wants to change something, tear something down, new foundation. I like the Tower. You know, it's messy, right? It's a slap in the face. It's a punch in the gut, right? But it definitely gives you a chance to rebuild. You know what I mean? If some of you are dealing with like a fire or something that may have happened in your home or someone that you know, and maybe that's why you feel conflicted, I'm very sorry if that's happened. Even water damage by the Tower, because it talks about, you know, Scorpio energy and water. right? Yeah, so some of you guys just want to change some things. Some of you want to redecorate, and some of you want to like destroy something. You know, something's being, you know, changed for you for the better so that you can rebuild on a new foundation and bring yourself a new take, new freshness. It's an overwhelming sense of what you are going to have to recommit yourself to afterwards, right? Venus placement. Ooh, good card. Your card. Sun in Virgo in the Venus placement, which is definitely echoing the energy of Venus in Virgo in your moon placement. We did have a Virgo full moon maybe like a month and a half ago. Yeah, or a month. Yeah, a month and a half ago, I believe. 6 weeks ago, perhaps. What happened around then? Anyway, Sun in Virgo is talking about, you know, the courage and the strength to believe in your work, right? It's an 8, so it is also related to Leo energy, just like these 5s are related to the 5th house and Taurus energy. So that's fixed energy, right? Understanding that your work is your work because you are the one who's doing the work, right? You're committed to the creativity. You're created to, you're committed to, you know, being very consistent and relying upon yourself, right? This could be business. Some of you are wondering, you know, how you're going to bring more pleasure and harmony into your life by building something for yourself that you believe in, right? That comes from your heart. You want to do something that you're passionate about for sure, because the 8s are related to the strength card, right? Put the right amount of energy, put positive energy into whatever it is that you do, because this is the advice. Put positive energy into whatever it is that you do, and understand that you're going to experience many different levels of happiness and sadness doing what it is that you do well, because you're meant to learn from the tests that you're put through with these 5s being here. You know, because the 5s put us through tests so that we feel like we're growing and we're living life. You know, if you never learned anything, if you never faced any challenges, if there was never any opposition, if you never felt like you wanted to question your belief systems, or if you never felt like you wanted to defend your belief systems because someone else might be questioning them, you know what I mean? That's just the universe being like, well, if you really believe this, let's see if you do. You know what I mean? And if you really want to do this, or you really feel like you are going to do this, let's see if you can handle what it is that comes, you know, in the direction of just being, right? Because it's 5, so it's talking about the heart, it's talking about vitality, it's talking about life, it's talking about your existence, right? You are. Aries is, you know, the sun is in Aries, is exalted there, right? All right now, y'all. So let me go ahead and flip over the outcome and the energy moving forward. Okay, so the energy moving forward, outcome energy is, you know, you have to make a choice, and you have to be committed to making a choice so that you clear up this emotional fog, right? You might not be trusting a situation that you may have gotten advice from someone, or someone may have shown you some form of like love or understanding in a relationship that may have confused you because they went back on something, or maybe they're holding back on expressing themselves, so it's bringing you confusion. You know what I mean? This is also talking about a victory and moving forward in something that you really desire, right? You need to let go of the need to control a situation and just kind of like let yourself, you know, bask in the, I don't know, the sort of like waiting period, because I feel like the 7s do talk about waiting periods because they're related to the 7th house, which is ruled by Libra, right? So I feel like there might be something that might be cleared up for you around the time, like middle of the month, that might be around the full moon, right? In Libra, and maybe then the moon going into Scorpio too soon after that, because the next day it'll be in Scorpio. right? And maybe you'll feel some movement forward when that full moon hits that 29th degree of Libra in your second house. For some of you, it'll be like your third house if it's at that point, depending on what your rising is, if we're going off of that. But, you know, there's going to be some completions. There's going to be some confusion that will be cleared up for you. You'll be able to move forward instead of feeling stagnant and moving like, you know, sidestepping, right, on a situation that might even involve a relationship or you relating to, you know, people and, you know, how they affect your emotions, right? You might be releasing some past resentment, right, moving forward past this full moon. You might have to, right? You might be letting go of some fear-based control issues that some of you might have, because a lot of the time our control issues are based on our fear that we have, which is that's the 8th house, and that's where the sun is for you right now, which is Aries. Also, yes, victory, 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 victory in some emotional process that you might be going through. It's conflict with an advantage. So you are going to see your way past this situation. You know, there's something better for you definitely moving forward. Let's look at the future card. You're making bold plans in the future, right? Communication is involved in making these plans. You might be telling someone about these plans or getting them involved in these plans with you, because the Two of Wands does talk about sharing, right? Sharing an experience with someone or something. Yeah. The twos are also talking about, you know, just appreciating that everyone has their own experience, right? Everyone can make their own plan. Everyone has their own choices. And this is you, you know, having a dignified understanding about that. And then it also has to do with being fair to you and yourself and being fair to someone else. This is the old you and the new you, right? You seeing that, understanding that, revealing something to yourself as well. Because this too is related to the High Priestess, which is Pisces energy. It's also Neptune energy. So there's something to kind of like really be uncovered here. Secrets, but not secrets, just something being revealed to you. Information, right? And it's a 2, so it looks like an 11, so then it's related to the Justice card. So then there we go again with Libra, Venus energy, right? You got to be fair to yourself when you're making choices that are going to affect you in the long run. At the top of the reading, you have Mars in Gemini, which is the 9 of Swords. Moving forward, you guys are going to be putting some energy into really completing these cycles that have been tormenting you psychologically, mentally. You need to complete some cycles of mental strife, some painful thought situations that you might be allowing yourself to go over and over and over again in your head. This is kind of like if you don't do anything about this thought pattern, these unhealthy thought patterns that you might be, you know, driving yourself crazy with, then you know they'll never end. You have to get to a point of understanding what it is that you're getting out of this. What are all of the truths, right? You can't lie to yourself about this here, right? And you're not. It's almost kind of like you want to do something about it. You feel like aggression about something. And it's almost like restraining your thoughts. So you might need to get something out, because this is Mars, right? Action into thoughts, right? Some of you are holding back on something you want to communicate, right? Or some of you are not allowing yourself to communicate something that will bring completion to a situation that you need to do, okay? So now let me look at the cards that are here underneath, or the first card, or the card that came out, Forgiving and Learning. This is from the Romance Angels Oracle deck. So this says, as you release and heal the past, you experience more love in your present moments. Because you need to really think about the present, right? Yeah, you need to think about the present energy that you're in right now and what you're being taught here. Let's look at what, sanguinity, right? The connection that you have to everything around you, right? And this is completion. Feeling complete within oneself. Also understanding that there is a give and take. There are parts of yourself that you have to nurture, right? that you can't really expect someone else to nurture for you. That's going to bring you a sense of completion. That's going to bring things into form for you, because then you'll understand parts of yourself that maybe you didn't really identify with in terms of loving yourself, right? Compassion as well, that type of thing. You want to think about that. Compassion towards yourself. All right, and then you got Berkana, which is, the card of femininity and water. It's a very Cancerian, mothering, Venus type of energy here as well. Create, honor the creativity, right? Because creativity is sacred, you know. Definitely do more to express yourself, right? Don't be worried about what other people are going to think. Just be very open. Be receptive to what your subconscious and your creativity and your intuition is telling you, right? Because it's a tool. It's telling you what it is that you need to express so that you can close out these cycles, right, that need to be. This 9 is here related to the Hermit. Understanding something and getting the best out of the understanding. Reasonably concluding. Okay? Make a wish. Dreams become reality, a joyful time of life. Wisdom and objectivity are important now. Stay in your integrity, a situation that calls for honest and open communication. All right, Virgo, I think I really need to go now because I have to go get on the train and I have to go to Connecticut to teach ballet to my students. If you'd like to get a private reading from me, email providencetarotkendrick@gmail.com. Follow me on Instagram, NYC Kendrick, Kendrick NYC, or definitely follow Providence Tarot, okay, on Instagram. Get a reading from me on Sundays at Shanti Bookshop and Crystal Gallery. It's at East 230 14th Street between 2nd and 3rd Avenues in Union Square near NYU, East Village area. I'm going to close out the energy of your reading. Happy New Moon in Aries, you guys. I did a New Moon in Aries video, and it's really good. I used the Lenormand cards, and I did a dance for 3 minutes before the reading started, okay? I love you guys. I'll see you later. Have a good weekend.